What's up, guys, and welcome back to a very needed and fresh episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast. I have had a slight hiatus from the show with a lot of travel on my calendar, but I am very excited to reignite my show with a really special guest and someone who I just got to be on his show. So we'll talk a little bit about that, I'm sure. But this gentleman was introduced to me by a very fellow badass female who I love and adore. And Austin, you and I had an amazing conversation. So, for those of you guys who don't know Austin, he is a podcast host. And the name of his podcast, which I was just on, so go listen to that too, is Construct Your Life. Very cool subject matter. And it was a really, really fun show. But Austin is a consultant to sales professionals. He is also someone who is in the middle of being very, very intentional about prospecting and time and meetings and branding and all of the things. So I think this is going to be a really cool conversation. So, Austin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. I knew as soon as I was on yours, I was like, wait, you got to come on mine because this is going to be really good and our conversation is not over. So,
Hmm.
um, let's jump in a little bit for people who don't know you. Just background, who is Austin? How did you become who we all now know? And just tell us a little about your story.
Yeah, I mean, I've worn a lot of hats in my career. People say, "Wow, you have a very interesting background." I worked in the music business, sold wine for 20 years, master bartender, hospitality, high-end hotels, then spent a large portion of my early career in real estate, large-scale real estate, Airbnb, all across the country. Decided to pivot from that about 3 years ago, bought my own business, and then kind of switched into business consulting, which is now being moved into sales consulting, and then I do personal coaching as well through addiction, divorce. So, it's really hard to put a pin on me. Uh, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Like pin a
Actually,
tail on a donkey, it sounds like.
yeah, well, actually, I'm trying to do as we speak, like literally as this was being recorded, probably going to release all that in about 5 weeks. So it's not something, it's really odd because I do it for everybody else. And I hate doing it for myself. So this is like not the greatest thing. But one of the things that I'm really focused on in the new year, and kind of as we're recording this, is getting more dialed into exactly what I do, and then focusing on that, because I can serve many different modalities and sectors. But at the end of the day, this last year has really pushed me into focusing on sales performance, and then I'm actually in the process of launching my own business development kind of sales company for my clients. And basically, what's happened is you consult all these people and they say, that's great. Now, can you just go do that for me? And so basically, I decided that I'm just going to listen to what all the businesses and people are telling me and just create a business around that, which happens to be my superpower. And I'm really excited because this just happened in the last like 2 weeks. And I'm already seeing traction based on my 25 years of my network when I can just make a phone call and then boom. So this is not something that happened overnight. I've been basically building my network since I was like 20. And I haven't asked for a single favor in 25 years. So I've just been, the bank has been getting really full.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. And I love what you're talking about because you know this, but my favorite word in the English dictionary is leverage. And we talk about leverage all the time. And we talked about it on your show. And what I heard you just say, right, is that you found a way to make the ask and you're at a place in your career where you can. And what a
Yes.
beautiful thing. But I also think one of the things you mentioned that I want to bring back and have you elaborate on is you've done it for so many other people,
Hmm.
yet doing it for ourselves is so much harder. So tell me,
Yeah.
talk about that. Like, in what capacity? I mean, yes, I think I know where you're going with it, but I still want to hear it from your perspective.
Well, what happened was is when I was working for private equity during COVID, and I kind of like launched the podcast and launched my coaching business, like all in the same like 10-day stretch. I never got a chance to actually work on my business or like brand it. Like I was just like thrown in the fire. And then like I've come up for air like 5, 6, 7 years later, and I'm like, okay, like we just, yeah, about 3 years in, we added austinlinney.com and we changed some things, but like I've never really like sat down and like this is what we're doing because I've just been coaching people on their brand, their business, like getting them more clients. And so like this year, I kind of like took a step back and was like, okay, what do I really want to be coaching right now? What do I want to be charging? What do I actually enjoy doing? This is what I will do, because there's this word. I really hope people resonate with this. I'll be 43 in like a week, like 2 weeks. This is about to be a ridiculous statement, but it's true. I never created a real boundary in my life till like a month ago.
I think a lot of people can relate.
Like, so like for me, it's like creating boundaries within my personal life, but also boundaries in my business of saying, I'm not going to do that anymore, because the amount of free things I've done, the amount of like all these different things that I've done, just so we're clear, like in the business development space, I was telling somebody last night, I've been trying to do this, what I'm doing now, and like monetizing it. I've been screwed out of like millions of dollars
Oh,
because like,
yeah.
I mean, I was just like learning the business and like naive, like, oh, I'm not going to sign a contract. So like for me, when I say like things are changing, I'm niching down, the all that happened because I started working even deeply more on myself and saying what you will do, what you won't do. And that's what's been the real change, is me, not the outside environment.
Well, I've heard it said so many different ways, but one of the biggest problems for entrepreneurs like you and I is that we become our own bottlenecks,
Hmm.
literally, right?
Hmm.
Like if we don't move ourselves out of the way, we
Yeah.
can't see it. We can't see things clearly. And I think it was a Dave Ramsey podcast or Audible that I was listening to, but he said that about trailblazers, which is one of the phases of business that he describes, right? Is in the trailblazing phase, usually the entrepreneur who's running the ship or steering the ship has to get out of their own way. Um, so it's, and not in a bad way, but in like a, I can't even see what I don't see or what I don't know is there if I'm not looking at it from the other side of the glass, you know?
And
Uh,
I've
yeah.
been in full-time entrepreneurship for almost 7 years now, right? And I wasn't ready to launch this business that I'm launching now 7 years ago because I didn't know business. Now I've spent enough time in my own businesses and other people's businesses to understand, when you're putting a deal together like I am, right? These very complex, very expensive, hundreds, 70, 80, $100 million deals, you have to understand there's 20 people at the table and everybody has a different point of view and everybody has a different motivation. And the only reason I know what that means is because I've been coaching entrepreneurs for 7 years. So it's like you get to a place where you realize like this opportunity is in timing, right? But as people that are very driven, we're trying to take that opportunity in inning one, and we haven't even got to the inning seven of the game. And I love, don't get me wrong, I've been in rooms I shouldn't have been in, but now I feel like not only do I belong in that room, I'm commanding the room.
Mm.
And that's a real different place to be in when you're in a deal like that, because there's a lot of egos involved.
Oh, yeah. What do they say? Egos need to be checked at the door, but usually people carry them in
Hmm.
their backpack and like bring them in with them, you know? Uh,
1,000%.
but one thing you said, I was on a call earlier today, and this is super relevant for where I feel like you are right now. Your Rolodex is massive, right? And if
Hmm.
you look at that and you understand it, some people, because everybody knows that Michelle is the expert prospector. That's my bread and butter. You said superpower. That is literally the subheader of of the book that I just wrote, The Black Line, right? Turning your lane into your superpower. And what that means, right, for me is that I prospect like a boss, and nobody's going to build my business for me, and I've never been one to expect someone else to do it for me, because at the end of the day we're the only ones in control of our output. But what you said, I think a lot of people can resonate with, and you probably didn't even know you said it, but I want to bring it back up because you have a very significant Rolodex. So in theory, right, listening to that, someone may say, well, I'm by referral only. I have enough business that I don't need to worry about prospecting. Let's talk about that, because first of all, I think that's false. But second of all, I think also most people don't understand what true intentional prospecting looks like in conjunction with what you said, which is boundaries. So I think both those things need to be addressed.
Well, this is so fun because I never get to talk about this at all and understand this. So
Well, then
I'm
you're on
have
the right show, Austin.
I do things a lot different. So for anybody that understands baseball, which I grew up playing, you have 9 fielders on the field. You have a shortstop, third baseman, outfielder, designated hitter, pitcher. My Rolodex is a baseball field and a baseball team. And if you come and you're the starting pitcher and you deliver, then you can stay in the game. If I put my reputation on you or you don't follow through with something I introduce you to, you get replaced by somebody who's been sitting on the bench.
Mm.
And so I'm always evaluating who's new. But one of the things that I do that I think a lot of people get wrong, I started this when I was in PE, is that they want to network with the same people that do what they do. That is a terrible waste of your time.
Oof.
I network with people that don't do what I do, that I can still serve and help them. And my number one question I say is, what can I do for your business today that would make you happy when I leave, right? So I'm meeting with the guy that doesn't do what I do, that's an ops manager who's a consultant, or a hedge fund guy that doesn't do anything close to what I do. And they're going, why are you doing that? Shouldn't you be meeting with other salespeople? No, that's you're having the same conversation. I want to have different conversations. And so for me, I always network upstream of what I'm doing. And what I mean by that is I'm a sales manager and I'm a business development, but I'm networking with investment bankers, VC funds, like movie industry people, like all these different people who are upstream of from what I do, and it flows backwards. I tell my clients all the time, a lot of my clients are real estate agents, mortgage brokers, they own businesses, whatever. I say, if you're a mortgage broker, go meet with the attorney, go meet with the title company, don't meet with other mortgage brokers.
Mm.
Like, go meet with the people that can get you business or see the inside of businesses. And I think a lot of times people network with the same people because they want to feel comfortable and they don't want to speak on things that they don't understand. One of the things that I do, this is, I'm dead serious when I say this. I keep my pulse on things, even though I might not watch them. Every Sunday night, I look at the football scores, even though I don't watch football. So if that comes up or somebody I have a meeting with, I can bring up, hey, I saw your team did great on Sunday.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's so good. For me, very similar feeling because like you were talking about going upstream and letting it flow back. That is such a cool, like first of all, I can visualize the actual thought of that. But also the baseball team piece. I'm an athlete too, so being an athlete, I think analogies for us around sports just resonate better. But you know, when you think about having a starting pitcher, I think about my prospecting career, right? And like, who do I leverage more than others? That's a starting pitcher for me, right? That's someone who, if I name drop that person, every time it's a yes, almost
Mm-hmm.
every,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's a no, it's because that person's not doing what the lever told me that they thought that that person was doing anymore, right?
Yeah.
Which has happened, right? So even how I met you, Mandy introduced me to you and was like, you got to reach out to Austin. There was one other guy she had me reach out to, and he was like, I would love to interview you, but I just shut down my podcast like 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then you're like, oh, well, that's a no because that makes sense, But
Mm-hmm.
when you think about your starting pitchers, you have to also think about when you name drop people,
Mm-hmm.
if the person on the receiving end of that message actually were to call that person, what are they going to say?
Mm-hmm.
So I also think that this flows back to relationships that last a long time. And do you put energy and time into maintaining it, right? So my number one lever, I talk to on the phone a minimum of twice a week, like minimum, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's about what she's doing, what she's working on, what interviews she's got this week, who she's meeting with this week that I don't know, right? And vice versa. We talk personal, we talk business. It's all the things. I mean, she will be at my baby shower in February with my second
Mm-hmm.
son. Like, those are the types of people. But you also said getting in rooms that are bigger than you is how I heard
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Just
And
dig into that more because I think there's
well,
more to talk
well,
about.
well, one of the things that I do, this is a tactic I learned from a mentor many years ago. Let's say I'm going to a conference. I'm going to do an investigation ahead of time about people that are going to be there. Once I meet those people, I leave the conference.
You told
Like,
me that
yes,
offline, and I remember that.
because I think people try to fit in too much. Oh, and also, here's another thing I do. I don't have a long-winded conversation at a big event. I take their number down and I reach out to them day of or at the event still with my name, and we have a separate conversation because you don't This is one of the things I learned from Oren Class book, Pitch Anything and Flip the Script. You don't want to have a deep conversation when there's a lot of noise going on and you're trying to get a point across because people are going to be distracted. So these are things that people do. You can't have these long-winded conversations because their mind is not set to that frequency, right? And so it's all these little tricks, right? And obviously I'm studying NLP, and obviously I've been a mindset coach for 7 years, so I understand little tells. And I was in high-end hospitality for 15 years, right? And one of the things that people want to do or want you to do is they want to meet you where you are. And so one of the tricks I used to do when I waited tables and I bartended was when I took the table's order and I first greeted them, I leaned down or I kneeled down
Mm.
because I didn't want to lord over them and feel like I was dominant. I wanted to connect with them right away. And this is a real statement from people that I worked with. People would leave the table and they would hug me, bye. And people would ask me, like coworkers, like, how long have you known them? I was like, I don't know, 45 minutes. You know, it's like these are the things that people aren't do because they're so worried about what they're getting or what they're doing. And at the end of the day, it's about meeting people where they are. It's having a plan, going in with it, and then not overfilling, that bucket too much. And I'll be frank, like I'm really good at that. But when you came on the podcast and you said that you send one email a day, I'm still like, it's still stuck in my brain because it makes so much sense to me to do that. And then you added it up over the 5 day stretch, that it just makes so much more sense. And it allows you to feel like you've actually done something in the right direction instead of just ambiguity, like we're like 20, we sent out 20 and we got no responses. And then I'm just doing this over and over again. It just made so much sense to me.
Well, I had a really interesting call with a lady who I deeply admire, and we actually met in person at an event I spoke at earlier this year, and we had an exchange on LinkedIn where she posted something and I commented on it, and it opened the door for some really good, needed conversation around AI and the role AI plays in prospecting, which is a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
But I'm on this call with her, and it was legit this morning. The day we're recording this, it was earlier today. And she said to me, she's like, I've been an entrepreneur now on my own outside of the company, corporate space with a 9 to 5 for about a year and a half. And all my clients that I hire or that hire me, they want to work with me. So I haven't hired a team. I haven't built a team. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm on her podcast right now, but I'm about to coach her on something because one of the things that in my mind I heard was she didn't trust herself enough to go get new clients by delegating a role of her company, right? So, like, if you think about an executive assistant, when I think about mine, I'm like, first of all, I would die without her. But second of all, like,
Mm-hmm.
Heather's role for me frees up all of this time for me to go do what I'm really good at doing, which is getting new clients. But if I had to do Heather's job, Danny, my head coach's job, and my prospecting job, of course I'm going to be frustrated
Mm-hmm.
with my ability to execute that. And hello, I've been there, right? Which is here in
Mm-hmm.
why I hired Heather and why I promoted Danny to head coach. So I only do the second half of coaching. I don't do the first half of coaching anymore because Danny's been with me for 4 years. So I looked at this woman, I was on her show, and I said to her, I said, if you hired an executive assistant for 30 bucks an hour for 20 hours a week, how much time that gives back to you? So if you're worried about being able to afford her or him, it's because you don't trust yourself enough or you haven't given yourself the space to go prospect properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you did what I teach you to do and what I said to you on your show when you were asking me, if you send one message every day to somebody you don't know very strategically, your calendar will be full of booked opportunities with people that you want to be in conversation with that can create the next opportunity. So it was almost like I was hearing this woman who was afraid to bet on herself to go prospect. Like pay the executive assistant to take 20 plus hours off your week load so that you can go send 5 messages a week, one a day for five days.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, I said, what would 20 new appointments in a month look like for you? She's like, I wouldn't even have the bandwidth for that much new opportunity.
There you go. I mean, that along with like, everything you said on the back of that nobody knows how to follow on. That's like literally like I remember the stat I heard years ago. One of my first mentors, they flipped like 75 to 150 houses a
Oof.
year for like 5 years, right? They had somebody go through an intern and run all the data. 68% or 60 to 68% of their closing deals happen on the eighth follow-up.
No surprise.
And so one of the things that I do is I literally send a message when at the event. Like I don't wait. Like I have the conversation right then. When do you want to have coffee? Let's get this on the schedule. And you know what I used to do? I used to wait. Like if they didn't respond for like 2 days, I used to wait. Now I just send a thing. Hey, following back up to this, bumping this up. Like I used to feel weird about that. I don't feel weird because everybody's busy and there's distractions everywhere. And now every time they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that." Like let's go.
I have
Like
people that will say, "Oh my gosh, wow, your follow game is awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it because this got pushed aside or whatever, you know?"
yeah, yeah. Well, it's all about the own anxiety that you feel. And let me step back for a minute. Part of the anxiety you feel, and I'll be frank, I'm going to be as open as I can. I'm feeling that right now, and it's not great, but I can survive because I know I'm in discovery mode. It's very complicated to explain what I do right now because we're trying to define it. So it's a little awkward for me at events. I think a lot of the times people don't go to events or they're not networking because they don't have clarity in exactly what they do.
Hmm.
And so it has nothing to do with like, oh, I can't meet that client. They don't have internal clarity. And so one of my tricks I say to them is you need to have three stories. You need to have a 30-second, 45-second elevator story. You need to have a 3-minute story, and you need to have a podcast story. And you need to have all those ready for you when you go out. And when you go out in public, it's bang, bang. That's when you're one of the things my friend does that I've always loved. He's very introverted. Like he doesn't love to go out, but knows he needs to network. He created a list of 100 stories in his life. And what he does is he picks 5 of those stories every time before he walks into an event. So he has stuff to talk about with people.
It's so good. That's so good. But I will tell you, as a high performing high D like you, when I do what you described, when I go to an event and someone says, yes, we need to do that, or yes, I'd love to get on a call, or hey, Michelle, I've been meaning to reach out to you. I want to do this thing. The first thing I do is exactly what you do. I send them the text message, or I send them the email, or I send them the LinkedIn message, whatever it is. And I have one in particular right now who I swear to you, I have followed up with him 7 times. Like, and he'll get back to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, yes, this is on my radar. I'm so sorry. Like, yes, I'm going to do this week." And then it's another follow up. And I know my answer, but I want to know your answer. At what point do we need to tap out?
Well, one of the things that I'm loving right now is for me, and I think it's more of my energy, is that I just don't give a crap anymore. Like if you if you want to make time, you'll figure it out. And I'll probably give you 1 or 2 opportunities and then I'm out. And then if you want to circle back, that's great. I mean, I just, one of the things that's interesting. Now here's an interesting thing that I've seen a lot of people doing recently, and I haven't decided how I feel about it, and I'd love to get your take too. When they say, you know what, I just don't have the time to bring this into my world right now, so I'm gonna pass. I could lean both ways. I respect it, but I also could see like, no, it's just not important to you. So like
Oh,
I don't really,
I would fall on the latter for sure.
okay.
Like they're not, for example, one woman who saw me in an event came up to me and was like, I need to bring you in to speak for my company and I need to hire you for myself personally.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Had a follow up, amazing phone call with her about a week ago. Yesterday, I sent her a text message and I'm just like, hey, I sent that email over. Hopefully, you had a chance to review it. It had the breakdown of private coaching versus this other form of coaching that we're going to do, more like fractional. Let me know what you want to do. She responds back and she goes, long explanation of essentially because I'm newer at my company right now, I've only been in my role for a couple of months. I want to defer this to the start of the year. And I hate that response, right? Because I really like her a lot. And I know the impact that I can make. So I ask myself this question a lot of like, where does that irritation stem from? From me, right? Like, meaning, why am I irritated? And from a reply like that. And ultimately, it's because I know that they have a problem that I can solve, but they're not willing to face the problem, right? Like they're just not willing to look at it from a perspective of, if I spent time and energy on this, what the outcome would be substantial, right? She happens to be one of the number one recruiters for her entire company. So what I could do for her life and for her career, mind blowing, you know? But so I think my irritation when I get an inbound response like that is comes from a place of desire to create impact and desire to solve a problem that I know I can solve, and a lack of, I think caring is a good word, but also just a lack of desire, right? To change. I don't know. Like,
While I agree with everything you said, I could also sit in their seat and understand that to sign up for somebody like you, we have to be willing to change almost every aspect of who we are because you won't allow anything to. And so that change sometimes can be very scary.
mhm.
And so a lot of people, and I only know this from coaching thousands of people, a lot of people think they want to change. They don't really want to change. I mean,
I,
this is helping people through addiction, divorce. I mean, you name it. Drug addiction, homeless, you name it. And what I'm not going to do anymore is I'm not going to be the one to pull you out of a burning building. You got to pull yourself out. I did that for 7 years. And one of the things that I will do you is if you want to take it to the next level, I'll do that with you. But I'm not going to take you kicking and screaming because you have to understand something. The entire world with AI, with where we are in the world, is changing. It's changing very quickly.
by the day.
And there's going to be 70% to 80% of business owners that are left going to zero or losing because they're not refusing to get on the train because they want to complain about the train. You can either play the game and you can join the conversation and you can change, or you don't. There's no middle ground here. And it's happening quicker than people can even fathom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the reasons I'm moving to business development. But I love it, first of all. Second of all, because I think that every company in America is going to need it because they're not paying attention to what's happening. And it's going to take direct core relationships to get past all the AI slop. And it's going to take handshake relationships to get business done in the near future. And that's why I believe that what I'm doing is headed in the right direction.
Well, I think you said it really, really well. Like, it's relationship based, and AI as a whole does such a good job of taking the relationship aspect out. It literally removes it from the equation. And I feel like there's been a shift in the last 6 to 8 months where people are starting to, I don't want to say be tired of AI, but they're
Mm-hmm.
starting to pay attention to, that's AI and that's not. That's AI and that's her that wrote that. That's AI and that's him that wrote that. Right. And we're starting to pay attention to the difference. And um, I think for me, when I look at it from a relationship standpoint, the relationships that are going to last are the ones that we invest in, despite the opportunities we have to be efficient at them, like AI responding to comments that we get on our LinkedIn, right? Or like, I saw a company the other day, kid you not, that responds to emails for you so that your inbox never has
Great. You know
ready
what
note.
that is? You know what that is? That's some false thing that you want to get your inbox to zero so you can lower your anxiety. Like because here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come up with a name because I have to. I'm gonna build a website because I have to, because that's the digital business card.
Mm.
Besides that, I'm never gonna talk about my company ever, and I'm gonna do it 100%. You know what I decided? I decided this year ago. I'm gonna build my entire business off of what every company in the 1950s did. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm going old school. You want to do
Back
AI slide?
to basics. Back to
Back to
basics.
basics. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go to the weird conferences that nobody else goes to. I'm going to be like, and I'm going to let my execution bring me my next client. I'm
Ooh,
not going to let my
like,
mouth,
can we
I'm
mic
not,
drop that? Hold on. I'm gonna let my execution bring me my next client. Like, I'm about to put that on a freaking stamp, Austin, and every time I sign a book by
because,
Austin Linney. But
because too many people are
uh
worried about what they're getting in or what they're making in the situation instead of understanding that if you deliver for one client, then they're gonna refer you to another one, and so on and so on and so on.
every time, without fail. Um, question for you, odd question maybe, but direct and poignant. When you prospect someone you don't know,
Mhm.
what does that sound like for you?
It just happened, and I got my dream job because of it.
You
So
got your
I
yes.
so I literally saw this guy on a podcast, and I was like, yes, I need to meet this guy. He needs to become my best friend. I DM'd him on Instagram or Twitter. I DM'd him on LinkedIn. I said, hey man, love the episode. Really like to connect. This is what I'm about. Sounds great. We jump on a call the next day. He said, sounds great. Hey, man, I'd love to meet you in person. Sounds great. I'll be there next Monday. He goes, yeah, just like that. I said, yeah. Spent 4 hours with him. He calls me separate, said, hey, man, do you want to come do this thing for us? And then boom, like it literally like was like, I need to meet this person. We align in values. I think I know what I'm talking about. We jump on a 2 hour call. Yes, we're aligned. Let's go. He goes, I can come down there. No, no, I'm going to come to you. Like first meeting, I'm going to come.
Yeah,
Like
proof of concept,
proof
active.
of concept.
Yeah.
You don't have to change your day. Let me change my day. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Right. And now I'm running all their business development for their growing franchise and doing M&A for them. Like that was like
Boom.
three. That was 3 weeks ago.
So I had a guy who posted on LinkedIn to prove our point. I had this gentleman I saw. I don't know how I got connected to him, but clearly he was a LinkedIn connection. But he had posted, he graduated from Rutgers, which is where I went to school. He had just done his first TEDx, which I'm in the process of landing my first TEDx. And on top of it, he's an internationally acclaimed, very highly paid keynote speaker. Wrote his second book. His first book came out a couple years ago, just finished writing a second one. And so I see this post because he posts and he talks about how he had like a new branding photo shoot done because he's had all these things happen and all these new keynotes. He was a keynote speaker at like the FIFA World Cup for the
Mm-hmm.
private equity people that were there, like a big private event. He was talking about all these companies, right? He's literally been to the Olympics the last 12 years, the Summer Olympics, and been invited to be keynotes at various awards dinners and things. And so, long story short, I see this message and I sit there for a second and I marinate on the post. And it probably was like a minute, maybe 2 minutes that I marinated. But in my mind, it took me like 10 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I sent him a message and I just said, Mark, I just saw your post and I just felt incredibly compelled to reach out because not only am I a former Rutgers graduate, graduated probably a few years after you did, but I also graduated with a degree in journalism just like you did. And I am in the process of landing my first TEDx talk currently as we speak. And I've just seen a lot of really awesome content from you around the keynotes. And as an aspiring bigger keynote speaker, I just would love to jump on a call with you and see if there's some synergy between us to learn something from you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? It turned into way more than that. And
Yep.
we went back and forth like 5 or 6 times. We have a call next week. And this guy said, send me your speaker kit. I want to review it. I'll give you feedback. And I think my speaker kit's pretty good because we put a lot of time and money into it. I also have a lot of video footage. He was like, send me some video footage of you. Also, send me the PDF version of your book. So this is a guy who, had I not sent that message,
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what kind of Pandora's box I just opened, right?
Yeah.
Because this guy could easily probably book me or get me booked on very large stages, but I came at it from this perspective of I see you and I see what you're doing, and I'm gonna shoot my shot,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll have to report back to you after the meeting. But I
Yeah.
am like, that's one of those things where do I need to prospect right now based off of, where my career is and how busy I've been? On probably not, right?
Yeah.
Meaning like I could probably take my foot off the gas as far as prospecting for the rest of the year, but am I gonna? Hell
No,
no.
of course not. Let me share you my favorite. I know we got to get out of here, but let me share my favorite story I've ever done. So this was 5 years ago. There was a mentor who I loved everything about him. Like we vibed. Like he's extremely hard to get to. Like had multiple businesses. Like impossible. I meet him. He speaks on a webinar in the group. He's like, "Yeah, I come out," and then cancels on me. And I try to go out next week. Cancels on me again. Cancels on me again. So this went on for like 5 months. And finally, I said, "Okay, listen. I bought a plane ticket on January 9th. I'll be there. Figure it out." And he goes, "All right, deal. Meet me at the gym at 5 a.m." So I go meet him at the gym at 5 a.m. I studied his Instagram. I
Mm-hmm.
found out that he loved Cadillacs. I rented a 1966 Cadillac DeVille suicide doors on 24s, and I brought it to his office. And that's what we rode around in all day. I let him drive it all to and spent the day with him. He said, "Why did you?" He like literally started crying when he saw it. He said, "Why did you do this?" I said, "Because everybody wants to meet you, and when I leave here today, you will know Austin Linney was here." All right. And then he went and told that story to 40 other people. I had a conversation with him that day that changed my entire life. And that was all, and it cost me like $500, like the plane ticket, everything.
Wow.
Like, what are you willing to do to get to where you want to go? Period. End of story.
I mean, what else is there to say to that? Holy smokes. What are you willing to do to get where you want to go? And I think you're one of the things I was really excited about for this conversation for us, but also for the episode on your show, which people need to go listen to your show in general. And yes, they should go listen to my episode with you too. But you and I have this sort of mentality, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm going to assume here, confidently assume we have this mentality of like no one's building our business for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like no one's standing in my doorway right now in my office saying, "Michelle, what can I do for you today?" Like, how
Mm-hmm.
can I
Mm-hmm.
help you grow your business today? Like, that's not, or how can I help you go find your next lead? Like, that's not what's happening. And
Mm-hmm.
I just truly wholeheartedly believe that if we look at prospecting differently, if we look at it as a solution to our anxiety, because I have anxiety just like everybody else for all kinds of things, right? I had relatively recently I had a pretty severe anxiety attack after a big event uh,
Mm-hmm.
that I had done, and there was so much involved in that as to why. But how do I curb my anxiety? How did I cure it? I moved. I did something, right, to get out of it. And the anxiety stemmed from what if I didn't do a good enough job, and it was my own, self imposter syndrome being pushed down on me. Everybody said I did a great job, but in my mind I'm like, shit, I just totally messed that one up, you know? So to get out of it, instead of living it and being like, well, I guess I just screwed up that and now I'm out, I just moved. Literally, like I did something to get myself out of it. And I focused on going and getting another one so that I have another at bat. Because
That's right.
failure for me, I don't think, and mind you, no one thought I failed except for me. Like,
Exactly.
which is the crazy thing. But failure, and I say this all the time, I'm going to say it again. Failure is feedback, and it is an opportunity if we listen to it to redirect and realign. So if
Mm-hmm.
anybody is listening to this right now and saying, I'm having a midlife crisis at 43 years old, I don't know where my business is going. I mean, Austin, you just gave everybody permission that that's okay. But what's not okay is that we're just going to sit there and be like, well, I guess this is just my life.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to move. We're going to like do something to put the energy somewhere so that we can create the outcome that we want, right? Which ultimately is financial freedom, freedom in our families, right? To be able to go and be where we want to be, leaving a legacy for our kids and an impact for our friends and our family and the people that are in our lives. But none of that happens if we don't commit to moving and doing it.
Perfectly said.
So you have a lot coming up from what it sounds like. A lot of moving parts, but I know you have a lot of other things that people can get dialed into today.
Sure.
But prior to that, of course, the podcast being your podcast being one of them. But two questions. Number one, where can we get connected to you? And number two, what is that next thing for you, Austin, where someone who's on your radar or you become on their radar, I should say,
Sure.
could get dialed into?
Yeah, you can go to austinlinney.com, Linney. I got the podcast there. You can message me there. You can send me an email at ajlinney, Linney at gmail.com.
Love it. What any events coming up for you?
No, I've been at 5 events this week alone.
Oh,
So I was
shoot,
at a
man.
shooting event, have an event tonight, have a lunch, had an just these aren't all like huge events, it's like one-on-ones or like 3 people, 10, 15. So we just try to do a lot of events. It just happens to be that time of the season right now.
It really is. It's conference season, as they say. Well, Austin, thank you. I know you and we have a lot of work to do together in the future. I can feel
Yep.
it. So, let me know whatever I can do for you. Anybody listening to the show, if you want to connect with Austin, please do so. Also, if you hear this episode and it resonates with you, tell Austin that it did. Reach out to him and tell him. One of my favorite things, not just as a podcast guest, but also as a host, is when you get people that reach out to you and say, "Hey, I heard that and it was really impactful." So let us know, and we love it. And also, if you have any suggestions for guests to come, please reach out to me. You can get me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Those are two easy places to reach me. But I look forward to the next episode. And Austin, I cannot wait to share you with the world.
Thank you very much.
Come on. Sorry, hold on.